There's a lot to get into. Now, of course,
Yeah.
I have to start with perhaps, Sophie, the most important question you will answer today.
Yeah.
How was the fruit at Ponderosa?
Oh my God. The fruit at Ponderosa was not eaten by me. Let me tell you, I was just on that like carb, 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 protein, protein, protein. If they had fruit, I wouldn't know. Didn't even look for it.
Well, let's do some pickings over about your
Yeah.
game, perhaps unlike a fruit platter here, because
Yeah.
at Tribal Council, there is a lot of talk about basing, your game on revenge. And obviously, we'll get into your perception of how
Yeah.
people like Sage reacted to things.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, very surprised at the
Right.
fact that you were going. So, in retrospect, were there details that or conversations that you weren't picking up on like that in retrospect could have been a big red flag to you or yellow flag that you were going?
You know what? I think the biggest red flag that I should have realized was just how devastated Sage was with the Jawan vote. I I mean, we saw it last night. At one point, I'm like, I'm not gonna apologize. And in retrospect, I knew that she and Jawan were close. I don't think I grasped how personally that would hurt her. And I thought that her, dislike of Savannah, which she had been very open about up until this point and wanting her out, would outweigh my like great betrayal and getting out Jawan. And I think I just really read that wrong. Like Sage was down bad those couple days and was like quite emotional and clearly very, very upset. And I think had I just like kind of clued in a little bit more, I would have been like, oh, this is degrees. Like she is much more upset about Jawan than she's ever been about Savannah. Like you got to do a little bit of damage control here. And then I think the other thing that maybe, um, yeah, that maybe I should have been a little bit smarter about, which they don't talk about because, you know, the options at that night were either like me voting Savannah with ideally Sage, Steven, Christina, and Soph. Um, but we don't talk about who like who was the decoy that Rizzo and Savannah and Soph were telling to me to make me think that like they weren't going to vote for me because they obviously weren't going to vote for Savannah. And it was like quite lackluster. Like it wasn't like I think they were throwing out like Christina, like the ideal would have been Steven, but then he won immunity. Like it didn't quite make sense. And I think I should have double clicked into that none of them, when we were talking about like, okay, who's in my view, who's the decoy vote? But for them, I thought this is who they were actually going to vote for. Nobody seemed like really like jazzed about voting Christina. And that should have been the clue because look, those are hard game players. When they want somebody out, they are pitching you. It's a sales. Like the fact that they were just so willy nilly, like, yeah, okay, let's go, Christina. That's no big deal. We're too far in the game for people to be cavalier. And that those two things, Sage's reaction to Jawan, and then kind of the cavalier way that Savannah and Rizzo and Soph were like, yeah, of course. Why not? Let's go, Christina. Should have clued me in that I was missing a bigger part of the story.
I want to talk a bit more about Sage because it's been told
Yeah.
to us through other interviews that the two of you were quite close, which is
Yes.
something that
Yeah.
maybe contributed to her feeling the way that she did. So talk to me a bit about that and where do the two of you stand now?
Yeah. So it's actually funny because the reason, like, if you remember that episode where Jawan goes home, I am kind of the one who is deciding between Jawan and Sage. Savannah and Soph kind of kick it over to me. And the reason that I chose Jawan is because I was close with Sage. I was playing a little bit with my heart, not gonna lie. I had a closer relationship with Sage, and she also had proven to like trust me and like clued me in on things and really had my back. And so that's why I was like, I have to save her now. And in retrospect, maybe I should have just voted her out and like stuck with Jawan because in doing so, like because we had that close bond, in breaking her trust, it was so much worse. Whereas I feel like if I had betrayed Jawan, we didn't have as much like capital in our relationship. And so it might not have hurt as badly. Um, but Sage and I are great now. Like it's been so fun getting to watch her game on TV because she is playing so like such an amazing strategic game. And I think because she really like dances to the beat of her own drum, you can almost like forget how strategic she is. I mean, we saw it with like, just tell them I'm farting. We're not talking strategy. And so that's been lovely to see. But yeah, Sage and I are good. I, had to do a little bit more damage control when we all were back in the States, but I'm so grateful to have gotten to play the game with her. And yeah, I mean, kudos to her. She really spearheaded Operation Kick Sophie to the curb.
Well, let's talk about when your game really kickstarted, which is,
Yeah.
at the split tribal council where you're
Yes.
trying to maintain, hey, we've got this cross tribal thing, and then it all goes south. And really, I would say,
All
like,
goes
is
south.
the first step towards the path that you go down to the
Yeah.
end of your game. So, talk a bit about that. What led to you and MC turning on each other? Was it as simple as
Yeah.
Savannah coming over in the boat? Was it, Jawan telling you that MC leaked this plan?
Yeah. I think it was kind of two things. The first was definitely hearing that MC had leaked the plan to Juwan. Um so that was kind of the first. I was like, okay, uh-oh. MC has leaked the plan to Juwan. I didn't know at the time why she did it. And so I was like, well, this is like the only reason, like I couldn't fathom why she would do that, except maybe to try to target me. I was just confused. I couldn't figure out what she was thinking. And then Jawan then told Rizzo that. And so now I'm like, Rizzo now has been clued in that he was on the block. And so if he plays his idol, I don't want to go home. And so it at that point, I'm thinking from just a self-preservation standpoint that like it is way riskier to try to mend things with MC and Jawan and go back to Rizzo, because now he knows that at one point we were throwing his name out there, whereas earlier in the day he was not. And then I think the second thing was when Savannah showed up, she tells us that she can vote. You don't actually know. I was like, what if it's a steal a vote or a block? Like, what if there is something else there? And we just don't quite have the numbers to, if the advantage has something more than just her ability to vote. We don't have the numbers to do like one on Rizzo, one on MC. Like, we just didn't have the numbers then. And then the other thing is, they don't show it, but Savannah and I got a chance to chat. And she told me that she knew about MC's idol before Tribal. And if you watch that Tribal Council, I am the only person who did not know MC had an idol, because, Savannah had her whole diving for the key thing. And so then she told her alliance, and then MC trusted Steven, who told Christina, who then told Sage and Jawan. So I was fully in the dark about that. And so when Savannah told me that I was last, even people not in like their alliance knew about her idol, I just had a moment where I was like, okay, that's kind of two strikes against MC. And uh Savannah told me that everyone back at the reward challenge was like, Sophie's toast. There's no way she's coming out of that alive. Rizzo's got his idol. She's a challenge threat. Like, it's easy. It's like gonna be easy vote. And I was like, oh my God, I'm at the bottom of a 7-person alliance, which is not a great place to be. And if I switch this up, get MC out, all of a sudden, now I'm in this like maybe 4-person alliance with Savannah and Rizzo and Soph. And then if Sage and Jawan want to kind of be these like middle flip floppy, like, okay. And my other thought was, I have a little bit of plausible deniability with my old alliance, in that like, look, it was MC or me, like I'm sorry, but I am going to keep myself alive in this game. And like, hopefully that would allow me the optionality to vote with them in the past. It wouldn't have been a full burnt bridge. And so, yeah, there was kind of a lot at play there. But in the end, when I look back at it, I actually think getting MC out was best for my game. Like, I think had we just gone the plan and gone Rizzo, I wouldn't have known kind of the depth to which my other alliance was just like really not on board with me and kind of scheming behind my back.
Yeah, so I mean, to that point, something that's been kind of an interesting undercurrent is your relationship with Christina. Because we
Mm,
see in, the Uli 3.0, that you're
Yeah.
not happy that she's throwing your name out there.
Yeah.
There's that secret scene of picking people for the reward challenge when Christina picks you to be like,
Yeah.
let's rebuild some trust. And you're like,
Hmm.
you should be picking me for my record. So talk to me a bit
Yeah.
about that. We have Savannah and Christina talk a little bit about how they haven't been on the same page. Was that sort of a
Yeah.
similar dynamic that you had as well?
So I think Savannah's and Christina was definitely more overt. Um, that they, yeah, they didn't really get along personally. Christina and I got along really well, like from a personal standpoint, but almost from day one, she was kind of like, we need to get Sophie out at least like early in the merge if we get there. Like she's got to go. And the way that Magic Game of Survivor worked, she was the one person who kept being on my tribes after all of these swaps, and it continued. Like I had maybe thought that at Uli there was a chance that we could have actually kind of come away from some of our previous drama and like been like really committed to each other as allies. But then when she was like, oh, and we'll use you as the decoy, it just showed that I was indispensable to her and not like a true valuable ally. And I think after that moment, I just kind of kept her at arm's length distance. And there's no like personal vendetta or beef. It was really truly like a game. Like she does not want me here, and she's going to try to get me out when she has the chance. And she kind of is showing again and again that she doesn't trust me from like an information standpoint. Like I didn't know about her idol. I, like figured out via like Soph and I went through her bag, and like I kind of got clued off that she had an idol because when we were talking through the Alex vote, or no, that was the Juwan vote, she kind of like hinted at something where I was like, that math doesn't make sense unless somebody plays an idol for Steven. And I gave her every opportunity to kind of clue me in, bring me like, give me a little crumb of information and show me that you value me as an ally. And she just never did. And so, yeah, I feel like with Christina and yeah, I felt like my trust was broken early on. And I just kind of always regarded her a little warily moving forward.
Let's set the record straight here.
Yeah.
Was it a consensus decision between you and Sophie to see who to see who would be named the proper Sophie, or was this
Oh my
something that
God.
you took charge of the
So
conversation and said, "I am the Sophie, you are the Soph"?
it's actually funny. Originally, we wanted to go by our last names because we actually have like very cool last names.
Yeah.
Segreti, Belardi, sick. Someone on our cast who shall remain nameless thought they were like too complicated to pronounce, too many syllables. And we're like, that's too confusing. Let's do Soph and Sophie. Because people were at that time kind of calling Soph, but it was really blue Sophie, yellow Sophie. And I think Jeff really put his foot down. Like, we're not doing this blue and yellow nonsense. Like, you need a real name. And because yeah, my preference would have been to go by last name, but 3 syllables, hard for some people. So
Well, I'm super curious because obviously you had one of, I would say, the quieter edits of
for
your
sure.
cast. So I'm intrigued to hear from you. What's one thing that you wish we got the chance to see from your journey in the game, be it a
Mm.
relationship, a strategic moment, a personal moment, etc.?
It's funny. I think I wish I had been shown early on having some like strategic alliance conversations, because I know the fault of my game is that I didn't have a ride or die number 2, but I had allies. And the way my edit looks early on, it really looks like I'm kind of on an island. You don't really see me in conversations with like Steven or MC or Christina. You just don't really see me in a lot of the pre-merge strategy conversations. And I think like that, like, yeah, there is obviously a hole to poke in my game that I didn't have like a number one ally, but I had allies. And so I wish that had been shown, just to show that I was, a little bit more well-rounded than like just a good challenge performer.
Well, for what it's worth, that was one of the many reasons you were voted off. And I think one of the reasons why
Yeah.
you were seen as like a communal threat is because you were that triple threat at the end of the day. And so no matter
Yeah.
how much we got to see you on our screen, I'm so happy that we did. Obviously, you and I
Yeah.
getting to talk out there during
Yes.
48. I know you felt that, this was just going to be a matter of when, not if, you got to play again. And I'm so happy
Yeah.
that you got this back-to-back chance and that it really did
Yeah.
seem like you made good on your second chance for so many reasons. And so yeah, I think even if you were going by your last name or your first name, you
Yeah.
made a name for yourself in this game.
Yeah, I'm very proud, and I will say that like like as an alternate, sometimes I feel like there's an added level of pressure that yeah, don't mess this up. You have now been given not really two chances, but kind of like two chances. Like do not do not take this for granted. And that's really how I approached this game. I did not take any second out there for granted, and I think because of that I had like an incredible experience even though I didn't win.
Well, thank you so much, as always, for taking the
Yeah,
time to open
thank
up
you. So
about
good to see you.
everything. So good to see you too, Segreti, Yellow Sophie,
Ready?
Sophie, whatever you want to be called. I'm always
All
happy
of
to
it.
chat with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the best to you and yours. Thanks so much again,
Yeah.
Sophie. You have a good
Thank
one.
you.